Hello, Heather Smith here. Welcome back to Day 2, Part 2. Today we are looking at the Banking Command Center, and our webinar is mapped, as you know, to the book Learn MYOB in 7 Days. We're looking at page 70 of the book Learn MYOB in 7 Days, and we're just about to talk about debits and credits. One of the first concepts students of bookkeeping need to get their head around is the nature of debits and credits. They are fundamental to a double entry bookkeeping system. They are used instead of plus and minus symbols to describe increases and decreases in accounts. But a debit doesn't always mean a decrease, and a credit doesn't always mean an increase. The crucial point that you need to understand is that these terms have a specific meaning in relation to a particular type of accounts. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see here that if you have an asset, if the asset increases in value, it is debit. If the asset decreases in value, it is credit. An asset is said to have a debit nature because that's the way it moves when it increases. Likewise, a liability is said to have a credit nature. So when it increases, the credit side increases. So when you credit it, it increases. When you debit it, it decreases. Equity, credit, debit, and so on. You can see the other account codes there and how they are affected by debits or credits. These are standard accounting bookkeeping concepts, and we're showing you this so you have an appreciation of understanding of what's happening behind the scenes with the journal entries that we're processing. However, if you want to know more about this, you really need to do some bookkeeping studies. So I'm going to escape from that. So we're looking at MYOB, and if I pop out, we can click on the Banking Command Center, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a spend money entry. This maps to the exercise or to the example on page 72. So up, we're going to click on Spend Money, and at the very top, this indicates the accounts that the transaction will be paid from. We're going to select the bank account here, but I could have grouped it with electronic payments. On the right-hand side, you will see the balance. You'll see the balance, and at the top right-hand side, you'll see it says tax inclusive with a little tick there. So what we're entering will be tax inclusive. I move over to here, check number, and we're going to type in check number 1. Get rid of that. It may have automatically come up with check number 1 for you. And then I'm typing in 5th of the 11th, 2011, and the amount I'm typing in is $70. And as I come over here to my card, office, stationery supplier, tabbing through, and I put in my check number, my date, my amount. If you click here on the date field and press the space bar, it actually pulls up a little date option here for you. If I click here in the amount area and press the space bar, it comes up with a dollar screen there as well. If I pop over to here on the card, a calculator, sorry, it pops up with a calculator. If I pop over here, you can see the card stationery supplier has come up, the information is filled out, and the memo has filled out. If I click here on the left-hand side of memo and then click on end on my keyboard, I'll go to the very end of the memo, and I'm going to go dash oct supplies. And what I'm now going to do is tab through. And what has happened was Office Stationery Supplier was automatically linked with 61100 Office Stationery, and the $70 has come from here, so the $70 is automatically filled out, and office stationery was automatically linked as a default tax code to GST, so that has automatically popped up. So all of that has come up without me doing very much, and I'm happy about that. Here in the memo area, I'm going to put some more information. It's good to try and put as much information about transactions that are important or significant in value. I'm going to tab through to the next line because, in fact, it's not one purchase of $70. That purchase there was actually $50, and this purchase here was actually $20. And here in the memo area, A for paper. And if I tab through, that has outlined what I've purchased, 2 items just for the office, one being a shredder and one being a wad of paper. Down here, you'll see the total allocated is $70. The tax is $6.36 on that, and the total paid is $70. And I will click record on that. Fantastic. So, what I'm now going to do is I've now moved to page 76, and I'm going to record a recurring transaction. Recording a recurring transaction can be time-saving because you record a template and you can use it as and when you need to. So click on the spend money, which is where I am, and we're going to enter our fortnightly rent. So this will be Andy's rental agency, and it will be EFT over here. We're going to overtype EFT. The date will be the 1st of the 11th. The amount will be $500, and it will be fortnightly rent. Fortnightly rent. And I'm tabbing through. Again, rent was linked to Andy's rental, so that has automatically popped up. So everything there I'm happy with. I want to highlight to you that down here, this is $500 tax inclusive. If I came up here and tick this option here, this is now tax exclusive. So it's the 45455 plus the 4545 gives you the 500. I'm going to go back and tick that again. And what I want to do is come down to the bottom left-hand side and click Save as Reoccurring. And I have here, if you move to window, Recurring Schedule Information window on page 78, fortnightly rent, and up here where it says frequency, I want to choose fortnightly, and I want to start on the 1st of the 11th, 2001. However, it will not backdate. Down here in the transaction area, I want to use the following check number each time, which will be EFT, and if I make any changes, I want to record them. So I'm selecting that option. I'm clicking OK. So what I've done is I've created the template. I have not recorded the transaction. I've created the template, not recorded the transaction. So I need to record the transaction. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Cancel, Banking, Spend Money, and I'm going to come down here to Use Reoccurring, click on Use Reoccurring, select Fortnightly Rent, and voila, the fortnightly rent has come up as I wanted it to, and I'm going to change the date to the 14th, tab through, and all I need to then do is record. So that was a really quick way for me to do that. So I'm going to click on Cancel now, and I'm going to click on Bank Register, and you can see here fortnightly rent sitting there. There is 1st of the 11th and the 14th of the 11th. That's my fortnightly rent sitting there. So I'm going to go Cancel on that, drop down to my transaction journal, and if I again choose the dates 07/2011, and you'll see my fortnightly rent is here, and it's split out. So it was credit because it reduced the bank, which was an asset, and then debit the rental expense. So it increased the expense, which was rent. And the same thing again, credit the bank, debit the rent, because it's increasing the rent. Okay, going to close that. So that was exercise 2.3 on page 80. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to receive some money. So here is our Banking Command Center Receive Money option, and sales that are not being tracked on a credit basis can be entered through the Receive Money option, which is accessed from the Banking Command Center. If, however, a sale has been created through the option Enter Sale in the Sales Command Center, payment cannot be received via Receive Money. So it's very similar to what we saw in Spend Money. The main difference is here in terms of the payment methods. And if you click on that, you can see there's various payment methods options. If you go up to Lists, Sales, Payment Methods, you can actually edit those payment options as well and create new ones. I'm going to click Cancel on that. And then what I'm going to look at is Review the Receipts Before Printing window. So over here, after Receive Money, we may print a receipt, and this is where we go through to print a receipt if we had one. Click Cancel. If I've jumped ahead a little bit there. I want to go back and enter the screenshot from page 80. So I'm going to go and Receive Money there. So click on Receive Money, and ANZ bank account. The amount there is 30,000, and we'll have that receipted from cash. And this is going to be a cash injection. Cash injection, and 1st of the 10th, 2011. Oh, that didn't come up. Why is that not coming up for me? 01/10/2011, and if I tab through, and we are doing that to 3/1, which is owner's equity. So what we've done here is we've received $30,000 from the owner, and we've allocated it to owner's equity. That's a cash injection he's put in the business, and he's deposited it to the bank account. So click Record there. Click Cancel, and it has here the option to print receipts. So I could actually print a receipt on that 30,000 if I wanted to by clicking there. And click Cancel. Now, we just did exercise 2.4, and we can also do exercise 2.5, which is from page 68. In fact, we did that earlier in the day. So we actually entered that telephone transaction, so we don't need to do that. Moving on to page 83, it now talks about using undeposited accounts to prepare a bank deposit. So here we have the bank deposit. When we went to receive the money, we could have selected Group with Undeposited Funds. This means that we would have collected the money at the maybe shop, put it in a banking satchel, recorded against that, and click on Prepared Bank Deposit. They would all be sitting here. We would tick them, and the amount we deposit in the bank would be the amount at the bottom here, okay, and we would agree that off, and we deposit that in the bank. Click Cancel, and then moving to page 84, we want to prepare electronic payments. So over here, we have this option here for preparing electronic payments, and let me go through what we need to do to prepare an electronic payment. Firstly, we need to come into our Accounts Command Center, click on our Accounts list, click on our asset, click on our banking account, go to the third tab along, which is banking. We need to fill in the banking details as we did on day one. We then need to check this box here, which you may not have checked, and this is suggesting that we're going to create an ABA, which is a special business file, and we're going to enter the bank code and the direct entry user ID, which we will have from our bank, and they will give us this information when we tell them that we want to bank electronically. Then we're going to click OK. What we're going to do next, if I close here, click on card file, click on card list, we pay supplier. So if I click here on supplier and I call up Andy's rental agency, and then I move along to the third tab, payment details, I need to put the payment details in there. So I won't at this stage, but I need to have my banking payment details and my supplier payment details. Fill that in, click OK, and then if I click close there, when I go to banking and I spend money, I could have chose group with electronic payments, and just like the batch receipts, it's like a batch payment. And then I would prepare electronic payments. They'd all be grouped together here. The account codes that they would be paying the suppliers to are sort of kept within the file. I select all of this, and then what I do is I then select bank file, and it creates an ABA file, and this ABA file is then uploaded to your bank with your passwords, etc. And that means you can process your payments online. It is a really efficient way to deal with banking payments if you pay that way. So look into that if you want to save some time. Then you have down here the print checks option, which is quite obvious. If you want to print checks, that's how you can do it, and you can set up when you're going to start them, etc., what number you start them at. Then we have down on the bottom left here, print email remittance advices, and these are various advices that are sitting there waiting to be printed out and or to be emailed. But both of those are just sitting there to be printed out. Okay. They need to, if they're going to be emailed, they must be emailed to a MAPI compliant email system. They can't be emailed to Gmail. They have to be emailed via MAPI compliant system. Okay. So I'm going to click cancel there. And the next thing that we need to look at from page 86 is we need to look at how a bank reconciliation is done. So if I click on the very center option here, which is reconcile account, and this shows you a bank reconciliation in MYOB. So what you need to do is you need to enter the bank statement date. So we will enter the 30th of the 11th, oh, is that going to come up for me? 30th of the 11th, 2011, and we need to enter an opening a balance. So what this is telling us is this is the last date of the statement, and this is the current balance, and this is the closing balance. So we've just got 0 in there because nothing really has happened. You would then go through and you would compare what has happened in MYOB to what is on your bank statement. So you go, in the bank statement it says a cash injection was deposited. So I tick that. And then it says, this payment was made out. And then I tick that. Then it says that rental was paid, then office station was paid, and fortnightly rent was paid. You then have a situation where the closing balance is 0 and the calculated statement balance is that amount there, which is 28674. And you reconcile that to the bank statement, and if that was all correct, you would click reconcile down here, print the report, and then press reconcile again. A little bit odd because yes, you do have to press reconcile again. You have a few extra options that I should mention. Firstly, you have this bank entry option here, and if I open that up, this very first section will allow you to create a bank charge. So if you've got any bank charges, you can enter them in here, allocate them to expense code, code them up and enter them here. If you've got any interest earned on the bank account, you can enter them here. And I'll click and then click record, and that will all be fine. The other option you have is that you can get statements, so you can actually import an MYOB, a bank statement into this, and it will match through, and you can match and change things as you need to. This ensures that you've imported and reconciled a complete statement, and it can be quite a time-saving thing. If we had actually done a reconciliation, we would then have the option to actually undo the reconciliation if you needed to. So page 89 goes through if you have a bank reconciliation and you having issues doing it, what things you can check. So what you need to check is that all your transactions have actually been entered, that if we untick all of this, when we untick all of this, the actual opening balance, that opening balance there is correct. So let's go highlight that. So this opening balance is correct. What you also need to check is that the actual balance that you entered here is correct. And if you have an out of balance amount here that you can't sort out, does the number ring a bell? Does it match up with a transaction that you're thinking about? Have you post-dated something? Okay. We will work through a bank reconciliation exercise on day 7. Going on to page 90, and I want to talk to you about an audit trail. So if I cancel here and I want to pop down to reports and click on accounts, click on security and audit, click on journal security and audit, and you have the session date there, which is the date that I'm currently filming these webinars on, and then the transaction date. So the transaction date I'm going to put in here is 7th, 2011, and I'm going to click display. Now your audit report might look a bit different to mine because I've been playing around with my report, but you can see what has happened, who has done it, what the action was, where the source document is, the transaction date, and what they affected. And it's important that you can access this information, so if anything fraudulent has happened in the MYOB data file, or if something's happened and you're not sure why, you can go back and check what you think might have happened. So I will click close there, and I'll click close. And page 90 goes on to say that you can use the owner's loan account to monitor owner's spending. So on day 1 in accounts, under the account list, under liability, we set up loan owner's name, and we set up a credit card. We set up this account 2-9000 loan owner's name credit card account, and it's for $0. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to run through a very typical situation. You've run down to the shop, you've got $50 cash in your pocket, and you've purchased stamps from Australia Post. So click on banking, spend money. The key to this is changing this option up here and saying loan owner's name. Now, everything else you should be familiar with. We're going to choose Australia's Post. It's going to be $50. The check number, what do you think that will be? It's going to be cash. The date is going to be the 2nd of the 11th. And you can see as we enter the amounts up there, it auto-filled down in the other area. And this is Australia Post, and we're going to type in postage. Very good. And we'll click record, and we've recorded postage there. Now, that was for recording when I made a full payment for the business out of my own pocket. And if you have a look here, under accounts, under account list, under liabilities, the business owes the owner $50, and that's correct because the business owes the owner $50 because the owner spent $50 on the business. Now, what happens when you have a situation where the business pays for something but part of it's personal? So let's pop to banking, spend money. We're going to create the card on page 92, the spend money transaction. This is a Telstra bill was paid. A Telstra bill of $100 was paid. And the check number is EFT, and the telephone expense is $80. And then we have the personal. Well, it's not allocated to telephone expenses. It's allocated that to $900 because it's now saying, the business paid something on behalf of the owner owes $20 back. The notice that here that the personal expense doesn't get any GST allocated to it. So if I click record there, and then I click cancel there, and then I click accounts, account list, and you'll see over here on liabilities, the business now only owes the person $30. Okay, so that's finished exercise 2.6 on page 92. So we've come to the end of day 2. We've covered a lot of areas in banking, all the areas of banking. And what we're now going to do is on tomorrow, we're going to explore the Sales Command Center. We'll learn how to raise invoices, receipts, payments, and analyze sales.